We love to celebrate birthdays in our house. We hang up signs and streamers. We sing happy birthday in harmony sometimes. We dole out gifts. We order ice cream cake. We love to celebrate the person for who they are on the day of their birth. We even have a tradition of going around the table at a birthday dinner and making each person who's there say out loud what it is about the birthday boy or girl that they most appreciate. We love the anticipation of opening gifts and celebrating birthdays. But as my husband Hans reminds us throughout the rest of the year, in the words of his dear friend Wes, may he rest in peace, as much as it is important to celebrate birthdays, it's also important to remember this. Every day is not your birthday. Now, before you accuse my husband and his mentor, Wes, of being birthday curmudgeons, hear me out. Birthdays are amazing. It's fun to celebrate and to have a day where people give you a little more attention, where you spend a little more time getting to do the things that you want to do. But that's not realistic for every day of your life. If you spend every day expecting to be spoiled like you are on your birthday, well, you become spoiled. You become overly focused on that dopamine hit your brain gets when it feels good, when you got just what you asked for that amazing birthday gift. We all know this. We can't always have what we want. It's not our birthday every day. But how often do we also forget that? In Mark 10, chapter 32, Jesus, for a third time, tells his disciples how things are going to go down as they get closer to Jerusalem. Where he simply said the Son of Man is going to suffer before, he now tells them exactly what's going to happen. He's going to be betrayed, turned over to the chief priest and the teachers of the law. He's going to be condemned to death. He's going to be mocked and flogged and killed. It's intense. It's likely shocking to these people, these friends who were close to Jesus. And then we read that James and John have a little request of Jesus. It's like they pull him aside to finally ask something that's been on their minds. And it could have been anything, right? It could have been a moment to ask a deep question, to make some sort of vulnerable revelation about everything they've learned from this important teacher. But instead they say this: let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in your glory. I mean, come on, guys. Jesus just finished telling you about the fate that is waiting for him, and it's terrible. And your response is to ask for a favor? To say, hey, what's in this for us? These poor disciples, they get a bad rap a lot of the time. I mean, when we're reading along in our Bibles, we can't help but notice the obvious blunders. But Jesus has stuck with them for this long, and I wonder if that's because we are just like those disciples. We want to know what's in it for us. We may not say it out loud, but isn't it true that we wonder it? Why isn't it our birthday every day? Well, Jesus comes back to what he said before, that God's way doesn't promise glory for people who think they deserve it somehow. God's logic is backwards, actually. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is a totally different type of leadership. This leader doesn't just climb the ladder and bring the most deserving employees along with him, as James and John hope he will. It's a totally unexpected leadership model, where the leader not only serves others, but gives his life as a ransom for the sake of other people. It is totally unheard of. Chapter 10 closes with another story of giving sight to the blind. The crowd, they try to silence this man who is blind because they see him simply as a beggar. But when he does get a chance to speak to Jesus, notice what he says. Rabbi, I want to see. Now, if we pair that against what James and John ask for, a seat with Jesus in his glory, we can easily notice the difference. One is an ask for power and status. Another is an ask for sight. This blind man, he had no status in society, and yet through the healing that Jesus does give him, he becomes a living example of what Jesus was for so many people like him, someone who could see and whose faith now led him to go and follow Jesus himself. So here are a few questions as you read through this part of the chapter today. What makes power so tempting for us? And number 2, what would it mean to be a leader who serves? Thanks so much, everybody.